I'm Bernie McCabe, State Attorney for the 6th Judicial Circuit of Florida, which is comprised of Pinellas and Pasco counties. The video you're about to watch is an introduction to a master policy for photo array lineups, or Photopacks, that has been adopted by all agencies within this circuit. This policy is based upon guidelines adopted by the Florida Sheriff's Association, the Florida Police Chiefs Association, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the Florida Prosecuting Attorneys Association. The purpose of this policy is to ensure that all photo array lineup identifications are as reliable as absolutely possible. Please pay attention to this video and you will see where these policies lead.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant David Dalton from the Clearwater Police Department. The identification of perpetrators from police lineups, it is an important tool for law enforcement to assist in solving crimes. But we, as law enforcement officers, have an obligation to make sure that evidence is reliable and will lead to a conviction of the actual offender. On the surface, a lineup may appear to be a simple and straightforward test, but errors can occur if the witness can't correctly identify the suspect or if the witness incorrectly identifies an innocent party. Social science research has shown that mistaken identification rates can be surprisingly high. In the mid-1990s, the legal system began to take a closer look at the issue of mistaken eyewitness identification. The impetus for this has been the growing number of convictions of innocent men and women that were ultimately overturned through the use of DNA analysis. What social science has revealed is that memory is not like a camera, and it can be influenced and changed by a host of external factors. For instance, stress that a witness may experience during an event can have a powerful impact in the identification process. Additionally, studies have also shown that witnesses are less able to recognize the facial features of individuals from a different race than their own. There are various factors that influence photographic lineups. Estimator variables are one type of factor that can influence photographic lineups, and these include items that law enforcement cannot control, like the lighting present at a crime scene or the distance the witness was from the actual suspect. Another type of variable, called system variables, are those factors that law enforcement should be able to control, and these variables are at the heart of the need for change. Law enforcement is now challenged to take steps to ensure photographic lineups and the evidence derived from them are valid and reliable for court presentation. One of the primary means to enhance the accuracy of photographic lineups is to employ the use of sequential lineups. In a sequential lineup, the suspect's photographs are presented one at a time to the witness, as opposed to showing all the photographs at one time, as is done during simultaneous, or what is commonly referred to as a six-pack photographic lineup. By using sequential presentation, witnesses are forced to make decisions about each individual suspect before the next one is shown, because they're forced to compare the photograph that they're seeing in front of them to their actual memory of the suspect. Our mission as law enforcement officers is to arrest and prosecute the correct offender. Therefore, we have an obligation to make sure our evidence is correct and accurate. Otherwise, erroneous convictions could lead to civil liability and public mistrust.
The tendency is for eyewitnesses to home in on who looks most like the perpetrator, and then have a propensity to identify that person. But that's not really what we want them to do. What we really want them to do is to compare each person to their memory, decide is that the person or not, in making their identification. Their task shouldn't be who looks most like him, but rather is this the person or not.
Another important point to consider is the individual conducting the lineup. We are all human, and because of that, we often give off subconscious clues to a witness. To reduce the influence of this subconscious bias, experts have advocated that a principal reform in police lineups is the utilization of blind administration. The blind method is one in which the lineup administrator, the person showing the lineup, does not know which lineup member is the suspect and which are the fillers. This tends to lower filler identifications and raise identifications of the suspect by eliminating these nonverbal, unintentional clues from the lineup administrator, typically the case detective. This enhances the probability that a witness is making the identification based purely on his or her own memory. Remember, the fillers for the lineup should be included based upon your agency policy, keeping age, weight, race, and other factors in mind. Studies have shown that witnesses relate photographs in simultaneous lineups to each other rather than to their recollection or memory of their observations of the suspect. As a result, witnesses spend more time comparing the photographs to each other rather than to their memory of the suspect. For example, if someone runs from a traffic stop and is detained several blocks away, when the person who conducted the traffic stop confronts this individual, they immediately know it is the same person who fled. This instantaneous recognition is the same result that is the aim of sequential lineups. Research has also shown that sequential lineups are more effective in relating the victim's memory of the perpetrator and have substantially reduced the number of false positive identifications, meaning the identification by the witness of an innocent party. Realizing that change is often difficult, a recent study compared sequential blind processes to the traditional simultaneous non-blind procedure. The study revealed that officers and detectives utilizing the sequential blind processes actually came to prefer the new method and felt more confident in their cases as a result.
Nothing more persuasive than an independent lineup administrator who takes a stand and says, I didn't know which person was the suspect and which were fillers. All I know is the witness went straight to number 3 and said, you know, that's the guy. That's very persuasive. So it's just cleaner, and it's another example of our attempt to bring scientific methods into the legal system to try to help out these kinds of investigations.
At some point in their career, virtually every law enforcement officer has participated in a field show-up, a process where a single perpetrator is detained in the field for direct presentation to a potential witness. Field show-ups are criticized by some as being too suggestive, but this process enables law enforcement officers to quickly and directly link a potential suspect to a crime or eliminate an innocent person. If officers have detained the wrong suspect, they can quickly refocus their investigation and continue to pursue the responsible party. However, law enforcement officers should remain sensitive to the criticisms and concerns regarding field show-ups, and they should be conducted as soon as possible to the commission of the crime, and only after obtaining a full and complete suspect description. Where practical, field show-ups should not be conducted when the suspect is sitting in a patrol vehicle, holding cell, dressed in jail or inmate clothing, or handcuffed. That being said, your safety and the safety of the public are paramount. Regardless of whether a witness makes a positive identification, law enforcement officers should photograph the detained individual while at the scene, depicting their appearance at the time the field show-up was conducted. This information will be critical later in the investigation and to support the witness's description of the suspect or suspects at trial. Another way to enhance the administration of lineups and field show-ups is to obtain confidence statements from witnesses, asking them to state in their own words how confident they are in their identification. Each jurisdiction will develop its own forms outlining lineup administration and field show-ups.
If a jurisdiction makes these changes and does everything in a really, in these kinds of pristine ways, then what happens is I think that you can get more guilty pleas from individuals who are identified. The defense attorneys don't see their angle to kind of fight this identification. So I think that I think it's good for justice. I think everybody wins, and law enforcement wins as well.
All of this may be a change from many procedures you may be used to. But remember, our role as law enforcement officers is to ensure we apprehend the correct suspect and convict the right person, eliminating the chance that an innocent person is wrongfully convicted.
Thank you for paying attention to this video. Further individualized training will be provided by your agency.
This project is sponsored by the St. Petersburg College All-State Center and was produced by the Center for Public Safety Innovation. For more information about this video and further training on this topic, contact Todd Kirchgraber at 727-344-8030.